Sorry.
All right, everyone. Welcome to this exciting episode of the energy that surrounds us. And you'll notice I'm not doing my normal intro because this is a rather unique episode. We are doing not a episode per se of everyone sharing their experiences. We are just going to be having an unscripted, wherever the conversation takes us, chit chat. So with that in mind, I am going to let the three guests introduce themselves, say a little bit about themselves, and we will see where the show goes from there. And we'll start with Ken Torres.
Hey everyone. So I am Father Ken, Dr. Ken, Reverend Dr. Ken. I am with the Warren Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research. I am the Spanish Division Manager in charge of over 22 Spanish-speaking countries. I'm also the Chief Exorcist for the Solomonic Order of St. Michael the Archangel. And more importantly, I'm just a dude of some people out with their supernatural issues. I'd rather not go into any more because then, you start saying things and people get mad. Oh, you're egotistical. I was in the military, this and that. So we'll just stop there for my haters.
Well, I got to say, Ken, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yes.
No.
Yes.
You have my respect, brother. Andre.
Yeah. Nothing special. I barely remember half of the ports I was in.
Yeah, but you were there.
Yeah, you showed up, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then there was Bill.
So, Bill Slevin. I'm a paranormal investigator, parapsychologist, demonologist, educator. I have my own team, the Paranormal Existence Research Society. We have members all over Florida, Georgia, Nebraska, the UK, Italy,
Connecticut.
Sorry, California.
Yes. That's true. I'm also a regional director and a manager of the Warren Legacy Foundation. And like you said, I'm going to probably stop there and let Joe take over now.
Well, thanks, Bill. My name is Joe Franke. I am the board chair and chief investigative officer of the Warren Legacy Foundation. I started out when I was a teenager working with Ed and Lorraine Warren, and here I am many years later, still doing the work and carrying on their work and legacy. Hopefully we're gonna have a good time tonight talking about stories, paranormal stories. I come to you live from the basement of the now famous Enfield haunting in Connecticut. It's not the Enfield, England case. This is a house in Enfield, Connecticut that has actually a demonic presence. And I've been here many, many times. I started this case in 2007, but things have started to liven up a little bit over the last 8 to 12 months. So I've been here since Wednesday, and I think I'm still wearing the same underwear, actually. Is that TMI? But I'm here with a gifted team of folks that we're trying to bring some closure to this case if we can. And Padre, I know I'm going to need your help at some point, so I'm sure we'll be talking over the next few days. But anyway,
fine.
Michael,
Yeah.
I'll turn it back over to you.
Sure. Don't ask for my help. That's all right.
Hey, brother, fly up here, man. I would love to have you guys both here. Trust me. I need
kind
a
of close.
I'm exhausted.
I see how it is.
I'm in Virginia right now, but
Well, Bill, pick up Father Ken on your way up.
I was going to say, road trip.
Trust me, I wish I had your guys' expertise up here because I'm a lone soldier right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people I'm working with, but people with more paranormal experience. But I do have Tom Gormley's working with me here, and Scott Allen and Stacy Wills. I got some really talented people here, and I thank God for them because this is not something that even I want to take on by myself. So
Archangels of the paranormal. Yeah, Thomas is a guy, Scott, and I'm still getting to know the other people. Hi, Sesme. That is my wife.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
And
I'm a
Joe,
out in
Irene is
Virginia
asking if you got the blue underwear on.
actually, I don't have any underwear on, but we'll save that for another show.
Here we go.
No, I
Do
do.
you have a rating on this?
It's actually, yeah, it's
That'll
actually
be-
black. Thank you for asking, Irene.
Stephanie's
that'll be 10
popped
Hail
in.
Marys.
Hi,
Hi,
Steph.
Hi, Stephanie.
How you doing, dear?
Our other wonderful manager from the foundation.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we-
had them on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have
We have a
team of people. Stephanie and Bill run
Exactly.
the East Coast, the whole Eastern Seaboard of. I don't know how you guys do it because I'd lose my mind, but you guys do a fantastic job, and I couldn't ask for better friends and colleagues, really, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, no,
I
I
mean-
feel the same way. She's the head
I
of
feel
my
the same
Georgia
way.
team too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
I mean,
asking.
you know,
she says
honestly,
I'm good.
we
How
have
you guys
a
doing?
doing great. We have a very blessed team. We have a really good team, I think, throughout the foundation. We have a lot of wonderful and dedicated researchers and investigators with different talents and different abilities, and they strive for greatness. I mean, they really step up when it's time to help our clients. And even like as the manager of the Spanish division, it's a lot taking over like 22 Spanish countries and the cases that present themselves and the phenomena. But overall, I mean, just being surrounded by people who are dedicated professionals is always a blessing.
Right. That's what people don't realize. It's not just, oh, okay, we're all part of the Warren Foundation and we help people. We have so many people across the world that
Mhm.
anything that comes up, we have somebody that's a specialist in it that we could contact and say, hey, do you ever see this? You ever have this happen? You ever
Yeah.
That's what's great about having all these people together is that
Yeah.
there's rarely something that's going to come up that we cannot find somebody that knows more about it than us, you know?
Yeah.
And what I'm enjoying is I'm getting to know all of you with being on my shows is you guys are really more approachable and more down to earth than a lot of people I think expect. And I think that is the blessing of you all is that, you don't take the title of, oh, we're a part of this foundation and, we're up here, you're down here. No, it's you're like, hey, this is where we're at. So let's work on this and
Yeah,
let's
I mean,
take care of this.
you're right, Michael. We are a family here at the foundation, and we're all equal. I don't care if you've been doing this for 5 months or 50 years. We're all equals. I'm no better than anybody else. I just happen to be probably one of the elders. Bill, I've been doing this 4 decades. Bill's right on my tail.
Yeah.
We're just here to bring help to those who need it, that may be afflicted by paranormal phenomena. And if you're not, and it's something else, we try to point you in the right direction. But one thing that we strive for here is no egos. There's no egos in this foundation. We're all very humble, individuals, and we do this out of the goodness of our hearts. Everyone is a volunteer. No one gets paid for this. Matter of fact, most of us are probably, in the red for all the money that we've spent through the years. But it's not about the money. It's about helping others. Look, we're all brothers and sisters in this world, and regardless of what background you come from, what religion you believe in, what color your skin, it doesn't matter. We all bleed the same. So, if anybody needs our help, please reach out.
We disagree on things sometimes, but that's what's good. I mean, you need people to bounce things back and forth off of, and
right.
I mean, that's how it works. Nobody knows everything.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the way it should be. Unfortunately, I noticed, with other teams in the past, or you see on social media, whatever the team leader says, that's what the team is going to do. And it's like, well, I mean, is it really a healthy relationship? Are you exchanging ideas? Because if one person has a certain ideology or a narrative of what they think is happening, and they're not leaving any room for the team members to grow or partake or just give their idea, then you're really missing out. And that can be more detrimental to the client overall in the long run.
Like what I tell some of my team members, like if I bring team members on that are new to this and I don't care if you haven't had a lot of experience. It's not really about that. It's more about your personality and you're willing to help people and your, passion for this. And, it's a little different. I could teach somebody how to investigate and they could pick up on it. You know what I mean? It's a little different, but I tell them, I said, look, I'm going to teach you what I know and what I feel is correct, but you need to also develop your own style with it. Take what, you want. Don't ever, like, I'll never tell my team members, don't challenge me and don't say, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not always right. I mean, so it's good
it's a
to have,
continuous formation.
Yeah.
It's a continuous formation, and that's what you have to do. Is once you think you've got it down, and you probably don't. You continue learning, and that's like the same thing I do with my clerical team with the religious side of things. And even as a leader, it's like, okay, you point people into the right direction. You share with them your knowledge, and your experience, and you're like, okay, well, this is up for interpretation. This is what I have experienced. I'm only telling you these things according to what I've experienced in my education and my experience. But please, if there's more, let us know.
Right.
If you find something else out, let us know. Like tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a lecture at this event out here. I'm going to be sharing the floor with Ron Yacovetti and Lourdes and Steve Dills. And these guys have invented this ITC method, which I've never really heard anything about the ITC. I know one of our former members out in Georgia did ITC, but this is pretty exciting, and I'm extremely grateful to learn about. Learn about this ITC method.
One of the things I always say, and I know Joe sometimes disagrees with me on this one, and there's a lot of people out there that are going to give me hell for this. People post all the time in this field. It goes around every once in a while, and it'll be a meme, and it'll say there are no experts in the paranormal field. That is complete ridiculousness. There are experts in this field. People don't understand. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm saying there are experts in this field. I've worked with them. I've trained with them. They get hung up on the word expert. Everybody's hung up on words. An expert is not a person who knows everything. It's a person who has an authoritative knowledge of something. So if you have a huge knowledge of the paranormal and ghosts and demons and all types of different things, you're going to be considered an expert in the field. It doesn't mean expert knows everything.
I agree with you, Bill. You guys have changed my mind. I agree with that.
See, now he says he's
just like in the military, right? In the military, right? So there's like marksman and sharpshooter, and there's expert. And basically, an expert marksman or an expert in the military is a person who has mastered the basics. If you've mastered the basics and the foundations, then you are considered an expert because you've already got that foundational basis, right? You know how to build off of that, and you know how to apply theory and relativity into practice and make it effective.
Right. And absolutely. It's what I tell people. I had this argument with somebody once, and I used this, and it's funny how they turn things around. I said, perfect example. You go to a doctor. Doctor's an expert. You say, hey, I broke my arm, and he says, well, no, it's sprained, and yeah, he's gonna tell you, okay, well, you know what, or your hand. Let's send you to a hand specialist because he doesn't know everything, but he's an expert. He's a doctor. You know what I mean? And then when I said that, of course, then so you're comparing yourself to a doctor. I find that.
You are a doctor.
You are a doctor.
Yeah, technically I am now. But
you are.
Oh, look at the ego now.
See? Yeah.
Right. Well, and see, these are the conversations we have. People accuse us and things like that, and that's what I love about the foundation, about us, right? It's we could sit here and name what accomplishments or achievements, but that's more so behind the doors, behind the scenes. But I spoke to a doctor one time years ago. It's like, so in medical school, you do this, you do that sort of stuff. And I go, how do you know? And he says, I really don't know what it is. I can just kind of guess because we just go through it over and over and over again. So we kind of just guesstimate. I go, oh, so, and that was he goes, that's what kind of makes us good is we understand the basics and it's repetition. And well, we give you an educated guess.
Right. Yeah. And what makes a lot of us different sometimes is that we don't just have, a lot of us just don't have a background in paranormal. Like I have 35 years actively investigating the paranormal, but I have 33 years in the technology field. I'm an IT director. I work at a psychiatric drug and alcohol treatment facility. I know a lot about psychiatric illness, addiction. I've studied psychology, metaphysics. I have a PhD in parapsychology. We have so many different, things that we look at, that we don't look at something and go, oh, that's got to be a ghost. We want to find the natural causes first, because those are easier, and then look at it another way. And I think it's important to learn all that. And if you don't know it all, talk to people who have stuff like, know stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff out there that can confuse you, can trick you, and including TV. But it's just something that you learn a little bit about everything helps you.
Yeah.
And
what's
along the
interesting,
same lines of, go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say, what's interesting is, your statement about experts in the paranormal. My experience was always where people were saying that and coming from the ego and saying, well, I'm the expert because of this. And it's like, they just rubbed me the wrong way. So I was like, there are no experts. I was like, no, we're all equal and everything. But in your definition,
if you have to make it a point to call yourself an expert, if you make it a point to call yourself an expert, then chances are, maybe, I don't know, you might not be one. But what do I know?
But I was going to say to Bill, with the way he explained it, I'm like, I could get behind that and say, yeah, there are those type of experts out there.
There's a line between confidence and knowledge and ego. Some people can't understand the difference, but there's a line between them.
Well, and some people don't communicate it very well. They may have the perfect intention of trying to explain it like you did, Bill, but their words or their tone and everything just comes off different, and it's like, no.
And then people just attack. Like I said, I will never say names about anybody. I don't get involved in drama and stuff, but I was called a prehistoric investigator because I've been doing this for a long time. So I have 33 years. I'm an IT director in the paranormal, in the technology field. So how am I a prehistoric investigator? I know more about technology probably than the paranormal. So you know what I mean? It's people say things.
And my nephew, when I met him, he goes, "How old are you?" I go, 28. He goes, "You're ancient." So there you go. It's like, it's no longer this term of being things. And honestly, when he told me that, I was like, I went home and I was like, where do I go from here if I'm already ancient at 28?
Hey guys, I got a special guest. My good friend Tom Gormley just joined me.
What's going
Tom,
on, guys?
how are you doing?
How you doing?
Archangels of the paranormal. How are you doing, brother?
Tom's another OG that's got another 4 decades in the field. So we're working on this case together. But
you
when
should
we're
add his name, Joe.
What's that?
You should add his name.
Well, I'll probably I'd probably lie myself up. I'm not.
You have him listed as Joe's
the prehistoric one. He doesn't know the technology.
I wanted to make a point. You guys are talking about education and egos and stuff like that. It's like, look, in this work, I don't want to say it's a business. It's not. In this work, we're all learning. I mean, life is just a journey of learning. Okay. I mean, I'm still learning. I've been doing it 4 decades. I'm still learning. However, as with any business or organization, it's not only permissible for us to question our leaders, it's our responsibility. I've always lived by that principle. So, I'm always asking questions. I can learn from someone that just joined. I'm like, I never thought of that before. That's a great point. We could all learn from one another. It's the people that live in silos and close that down. Those are the people that we don't want. And the people that I'm talking about, or we're talking about, they know who they are. And those are the ones that lash out, Bill. Those are the ones like, oh, you think you're an expert. Like, well, no, I never said I was an expert, but compared to what I am. I mean,
Well, that's often the issue.
Ego, that's fact. Now, please disagree with me if you do. That's not ego. That's just fact.
And that's often the issue is that you have a lot of people that they subscribe to this linear way of thinking, this linear logic, right? And they close themselves off. Well, this is what I was taught, so everything else is wrong. And so you're inhibiting that self-growth. You're inhibiting that learning. So if you have a linear way of thinking, then I would implore you to just learn more. And I come across that a lot within the religious side of the paranormal side. A lot of people are like, well, how could you do this? How could you believe in that? It doesn't. I go, well, if you really knew what the Catholic Church's teachings are, then you would be saying these ignorant comments. But I was told by this preacher man that you can't be a paranormal investigator. I go, where? Tell me where Scripture says that. The church has actual paranormal investigators. I mean,
I won't get into the shirt stuff because Bill gets mad at me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Joe talks, but then I'm on a panel one time, and Joe's sitting next to me, trashing people about wearing shirts and stuff. When I'm sitting next to him, I'm covering my logo. I'm like, everybody in the crowd.
Feel so exposed.
I actually saw a group once, and they had. And I'm just gonna say, I'm not gonna say the group, but it's an ABC Paranormal, right? And on the back of the shirt, in big block letters, it said investigations 100% free. And I'm like, oh my God.
I think for us older guys and all that, we have to have it on our shirt so we remember what the heck we're doing.
Yeah, I gotta remember my name.
Right.
Okay.
That's good marketing right there. 100%. That's good marketing.
That's why Joe was mad. He was mad.
My favorite though
and
was,
I had mine.
I was on an investigation and I was wearing a team shirt that I support up north, and I help them out when I can online. And I forgot that it's glow in the dark paint. So when we went lights out, I'm glowing everywhere I walk. And I'm like, I got to remember not to wear this on investigation again. It was a brilliant idea, but the glow in the dark paint really makes it hard for people to go, I think there's something over there, because they're like pointing at you.
See, but now that's a good idea. Like, I get Joe a shirt because now he says he wants one of the shirts. We get a shirt.
I told you I wanted one.
But don't let him know that in the back. But don't let him know that in the back, in glow in the dark, because I am an expert.
Yeah,
or there's an
anaconda,
out, and there he is.
or a design of an anaconda.
Yeah.
Hi, bye.
Or
now
even Bill, you could put on there in the black light paint.
Yeah,
someone scans with the black light.
Come around with the camera and just be like, shh.
Maybe we should have different colored shirts depending on the level of expertise we have.
Yeah. There we go.
I would have gold, you would have silver.
Like if you're a foreman, if you're a rookie, white, training.
Yeah, platinum. Okay, you could be gold, we'll be platinum.
Yeah.
Well, now I want a shirt that glows in the dark. In the back, it's going to say, remember to pay your exorcist or you'll get repossessed.
That's right.
Oh, that's good.
Skype, you could do on the back Skype exorcism, $600.
Right. Oh, not right. Direct exorcism.
Not naming names. I'm just saying.
What his initials are.
There's a market for everything. If you think about it, you can do it. But and you know what? The thing is, when you think about it, that like we can say these things, and these are just our personal opinions, but these things work. These guys are guys or whatever you want to identify as. They're making a living off of these things, and you're like, oh, well, that's a good marketing idea. I should have thought about that, but we're not unethical.
Yeah. If I, there's teams out there that charge for investigations. If I ever did that, I would have retired a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been involved in so many cases. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, look, there are people that are so grateful if they have the means, they want to donate. And I said, look, donations are always accepted, but there is never a charge to help people.
No,
and there shouldn't be. I mean, the Warrens never charged. I've never charged. I know Tom's never charged. You guys never charged. Look, I just say if there are people out there that charge people to help them, you better make damn sure you know what you're doing. But I think that's unethical. And that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it.
this is why I always said,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of clients even ask me, like, why don't you charge? It's your time. It's your thing. I said, we don't find it ethical because it's not 100% proven science.
Right. Exactly.
So we cannot, you hire a plumber. He's going to come in and say, you have a leak because this broke right here.
And
There's
the crack
no
is free.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we've had people donate, and the donations go to the team that we use only for stuff for the team to help us maybe get somewhere for an investigation or something. It's not, and we don't care. We're not going to be like, oh, you're not going to donate. All right, we're going to give you the quick cleansing. It's
Right.
With that said, if you're traveling at a great distance or something, and the client has the means to pay your expenses, that's acceptable.
Sure.
We're not
Absolutely.
charging them, but I mean, if you're traveling a couple of states over, you got to take a plane. It's like, look, are you able to cover my expenses? Now, if they can't, I'm not going to say I'm not coming.
Right.
So, so then we just pay out of pocket. But there's nothing wrong with someone paying your expenses. But a lot of the families we work with, as you know, don't have the means to do that.
Absolutely.
So we do it anyway. We do it anyway.
I'm extremely grateful when somebody does. I mean, it's not ever necessary. And, like you said, we deal with a lot of people that, don't have it to put out there, and that's fine. That's not why we do it.
And I get that the same question on the clerical side. My church, we're a legal church. We are validly licit, ordained, all that, and we never charge for anything. And I've been messaged a couple of times by people like, hey, how much do you charge for an exorcism? I go, well, first of all, why are we even talking about this? And second, I would never charge for an exorcism. Well, I've been accused before, but that person got confused with another celebrity exorcism whose name I can't mention. But anyway, it's like his initials might be the second letter of the alphabet.
Well, tell them that there's a price structure depending on the level of demon that it is. Once we get the name, we'll tell you the price.
And it's $1,500 per demon, and you have 7 of them.
It's $1,500 per legion. Well, and even man, that's crazy too, because we talk about.
Oh yeah, multi-demon discount. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Multi-dimensional discount.
Dimensional.
But,
now you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to cut up this damn video. And we're going to be on there with clips going, yes, we charge by levels of demons.
It's okay.
Keep this whole version.
The other option we can go is, it depends on the color of shirt they're wearing.
Platinum for us.
That's true.
Platinum.
No, wait a minute. There's a
but in all seriousness, the truth is that charging people is, I don't understand. So we had a case in the found about years ago where it came in. There was a family who had their son was triple schizophrenic, and they reached out to the foundation because they understood that their son had a mental illness, but they wanted to support him and give him some sort of comfort. So they contacted us because ABC Paranormal team went in. It charged them $5,000 for an 8-hour investigation, right? Then they had an intuitive medium who allegedly intuitive medium who got certified online the week before as a psychic, come in and tell the family and that young man with double schizophrenia that he had 72 legions of demons inside of him. And so they reached out to us. I remember Chris and I, we did that call. Okay, we can't make an assessment at the moment. We're going to have to meet some more because that's what you do, right? Meet more. Yep. So we lost contact with the family for a few weeks. We get on the family, and the family's like, we're like, hey, how are you doing? Unfortunately, Padre, we're going to have to close this case out. And I go, why? Did we do something? No. Our son committed suicide and left a suicide note. I'm taking my life because this psychic medium said I had 72 legions of demons inside of me. You know what I mean? And so that always bothers me.
Yes.
That's the problem. And I always get so mad and I get emotional when I talk about that because it bothers me. It bothers me. There's so many people that, have true abilities, right? And there are people that really have these gifts, but to sit there and say, especially if you don't believe in demons, especially if you're like an atheist or agnostic or whatever it is. But to sit here and say you have 72 legions of demons with a person who's suffering from a diagnosable mental illness, that's apparent, right? Come on now. And I wish I know who that team was. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's that's one of the things, like when I'm lecturing and I'm talking about this stuff, I tell people, I say, look, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing this. If you want to do this, go out and enjoy it, have fun with it, do it, but do it in public. Don't go in and work with people unless you know what you're doing or you're working with somebody who knows what you're doing, because the slightest if you don't know how to determine the difference between a psychiatric illness or an addiction and an actual ghost or a demon like that, you can truly damage somebody. I work in a psychiatric facility. So yeah, I see. Exactly right. See? I didn't start as a patient, but but I've been here 11 years now, and it's funny. We're the only place in Florida that's actually owned and operated by a psychiatrist. He's a quadruple board certified psychiatrist, and I didn't tell him for years what I did because I thought he would think I was completely nuts. He fully embraces it. He lets me do shows and lectures for the patients. He has me talk at our family weekends with the families and explain what I do. He fully supports it. He believes in it. He's not like, he's going to diagnose and treat somebody the way he knows how. It's not like I'm pulling them inside rooms and checking them out for demonic possession, but he supports it, and it's good that more people now are starting to open up and support it and everything. But there's a big
and then there's a big difference too. And then there's one misconception that I always like to get out the way first, and there's like circumstances. I always tell people paranormal investigations, abandoned buildings, and haunted houses should not be synonymous with demons. Right? It doesn't go hand in hand. There are exigent circumstances. There's scenarios like with the case that we have right now, but it's not an abandoned house, right? And it's not haunted in that sense per se. What I'm saying is that every YouTuber you see, you go on social media and they're like, well, it's a demon. Well, who trained you to diagnose? What type of formal seminary training or theological training do you have? What type of mental health training do you have? And so that's always been the issue. I tell people, that's one of the biggest misconceptions I get out the way. Being a paranormal investigator doesn't equate to demonic activity. Two different energies. And when people say that, they're lower level demons, they're lower level vibrations, no, they're not. Demons are celestial beings, right? And if anything, we as human beings are the lower vibrational energies because we are human, right? And we have our flaws and faults. And so that's another thing that I always hear. Well, demons are lower vibrational enemies. Why? Because they're in the ground below us, allegedly? No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Right.
What's behind me, Steph?
Yeah.
Stephanie said there's something behind me.
Yeah, we got
Tom's picking up.
Yeah, we got movement behind us a little bit, so
it's okay.
You might have a good podcast tonight with some spooky stuff. So.
I think all four of you will agree. Yeah. My pet peeve when I'm paranormal investigating is when people will go and find heavy energy or something just feels angry and automatically go, hey, there's a demon here. I'm like, no. You can't just fucking throw the D word out there.
It's the simplest thing. Tell people. Do you know anybody who's a cranky, old, nasty person? Well, guess what happens when they're dead? They're not all of a sudden happy.
Even more. They're even more crankier.
I even said to somebody one time when they questioned me about it and said, "How do you know?" And I go, "Well, let's look at society. If you take a kid who is slow and one person comes up and says, you're stupid. And then a couple more come up and say, well, he said you're stupid. You're stupid. What's that kid going to start thinking? He's stupid. Well, what's to say a spirit when he says you're demonic once, then a couple more times, then a few more times, isn't going to say, hey, you want demonic? I'll give you demonic.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because that is a big misconception. I've had so many cases where it presents, somebody calls me, said, my kid's getting scratched. And you watch the stuff online. Oh, scratch must be a demon. No, you got to realize that some spirits are so desperate to get their story out, they may accidentally push you, they accidentally scratch you. And that's what happened in this case. The spirit that was reaching out died. He was an alcoholic, PTSD from being in the war, treated his family badly, and couldn't move on. So all he wanted us to do was put daisies on his wife's grave. As soon as we did that, all the activity stopped. You know, they're reaching out. You have to be able to discern that. If you don't discern that properly, like Dr. Ken said, you could cause a problem for a family member. And I have, you know, anybody listening that's in this field that, you know, I have a background in psychology. I'm a retired law enforcement. You know, I was a crisis negotiator, so I know how to deal with this stuff. That just, my background just helps me in this field. But I know what I'm looking for. I know what's going on. That's what makes me a little different, you know. But
because you're looking for patterns of behavior. You're looking for consistencies and inconsistencies. You know what you're looking for, and I think that's what's unique about this is we all have different backgrounds.
What and one of the biggest things that I teach people about residential cases and stuff when you're working with people is listen. Sit there and learn how to read people, learn how to listen to people, watch what they're saying, watch their actions, watch what they're doing, because you'll be able to tell the difference. You'll be able to then see and you know, because if you think everything is paranormal and somebody tells you, hey, I'm hearing voices, oh, it's got to be paranormal. No, find out. And it doesn't just mean somebody's schizophrenic. There's many illnesses that can give you voices in your head. And if you like Father Ken was saying, if you then tell them that's a ghost or that's a demon, you mess them up, because our cleansing and our stuff that we're going to do is not going to help their illness. And now they think something's going to kill them. And it's 100 times worse. That, I mean, go out, do public stuff, have fun, but don't go mess with people's lives unless you know what you're doing.
Well, then, because then you could do more harm than good. And then now we come in, or an experienced team goes in, and they have to talk them back off the ledge and said, you don't have a demon in your house. Well, why did ABC Paranormal tell me I have a portal to hell here? I said, well, I can't explain other than the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. But their egos won't let them admit that, and their egos won't let them pick up the phone or go to their computer and email somebody that has more experience and more knowledge and ask for help.
That's
the problem.
I say that all the time.
That's the hardest problem too.
Ahead.
Sorry, Bill. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that I find that to be the biggest problem is 99, maybe 90 to 95% of our cases is down talking the crime, right? Because they've already got this notion and this narrative in their head, and now we have to down talk them. It's always hard to bring somebody off the edge. I think that's the most dangerous part of the work that we do, is now we have to bring them off that edge. And that's a very sticky, slippery slope, you know, and it's so dangerous. And what I find is, even with the clients that reach out to us, when we give them a proper rebuttal, they're like, "Oh, no, you're wrong." Well, okay, then why did you call us? If you don't want my opinion, then then maybe I'm not the person to help you.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. That's the hardest thing over the years. It's not even the demons. The hardest thing is convincing people who have been told that they have a demon or a ghost, trying to convince them that they don't, you know, because they saw it on TV or the other team told them they do. You can't get it out of their head. I've had people argue with me and argue with me and argue with me. And it's like, hey, we can't help you then. I never turn anybody away, but it's like, if you don't want to believe us, that's fine. You know, I tell people when they want to argue with me, I'll tell them, listen, you can go find as many teams as you want, and you'll keep looking. Eventually you're going to find someone that's going to agree with you. It's not going to help you.
Then you're going to call us back 2 years later, a few months later, you know, guys were right. And that happens a lot. You know, we've had people that come to us for help, and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't agree with you guys." Okay, well, hey, you know what? Give an opinion. If you want, go ahead and search for other teams. I'm not going to recommend anybody else. And well, that's it. Because and that's one thing too, professional courtesy and ethics. You know, ethics is also knowing when to keep your mouth shut. You know, I know some other people are like, "Well, you know what? You don't want to work with me? I'll give you to another team." Nope. Nope, nope. I'm not going to help you, Team Hop. I'm not going to do that. You can do your own research since you know enough. That's fine. Go ahead and do your own research. I'm not going to do that for you.
That's mental illness. That's the mental illness side.
Yes.
And all that.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of cases where some people with mental illness, to make sense of it, think it's a demon.
Yeah.
And
that's a healthy, and that's a
can't
coping mechanism. Yeah, it's a coping mechanism, although it may not be healthy, but we also have to understand that that is a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Also, too, you know, I have a good friend who's also a psychologist, and I know many people who are in the mental health field who do paranormal on the side, on the hush hush. And, you know, they've also given me the same opinions. It's like, you know, paranormal investigations can be a healthy coping mechanism, especially for investigators who are looking, you know, to find answers. You know, sometimes as investigators, we've experienced things ourselves, and that in itself could be some sort of traumatic experience for us, and that leads us to want to investigate, which is a healthy coping mechanism. It becomes unhealthy when it becomes the whole existence of our lives. It becomes unhealthy when all you're doing is having unhealthy habits revolving the paranormal and the supernatural. You know, I guess I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, but that's what goes on in our field. You know, Ken, Bill, and Mike.
Yeah.
That's what goes on in our field. That's what we see a lot of. And the thing is I tell people all the time, if you're involved and you're trying to help people in the spirit realm or trying to help people understand what the paranormal is, and you're counseling, you know, people that are alive, and you're counseling people that have passed, with people that have gifts, you know, that's what it is. You can't have ego, because once you have ego, you're too far away from spirit to help anybody. So Joe and I talked about this earlier. It's like, we're here to help people. If I could help you go to sleep at night, that's it.
Right.
And you know what, for me,
did you help the spirit? Did you help the people? That's it.
Yeah. And for me, the paranormal activity is secondary. You know what? Thank you for your reports. Thank you for the alleged activity. Okay, we'll deal with that later. I'm here to focus on you, on the family, on the sociodynamics of what's happening. I'm here to make sure that your mental health, your emotions are in check. So what can we do? Pastoral guidance, counseling, chaplaincy, getting you checked out, making sure that you get the proper resources. And then we will focus on this alleged activity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the thing. That's one of the things people don't realize too, is you're gonna eventually encounter paranormal activity. Don't go looking for it everywhere you go. Go help the person with whatever they're having a problem with. Eventually, you will experience it. I mean, as simple as that. People try too hard. You know, they're trying too hard to see it. Everybody wants that ghost photo or that ghost pic, you know, whatever. But that's the problem I have in those groups. Everybody gets extremely frustrated when you tell them the natural cause for their photo or their video, and it's a lens flare, it's a dust, it's, you know, and they lose their mind. I had a client lose their mind on me because I told them they're not possessed, and they lost it to where I had to get a cease and desist on them.
Same thing here with me. That's what happened. We had this conversation a few months ago. That's the same thing that happened to me. And you know what? And that actually leads into this next point, the Oddfellows Oddity. I would like to hear what you think about the items in my museum. I don't know what you have in your museum, but I tell people just like to collect objects. So some are just cool, creepy objects. Not everything is haunted. And even if it is, as long as you're well aware and responsible enough to know that, hey, there might be something there, and you protect yourself, and you do whatever it is that you believe in, your little tiki rain dance, that's fine. You know, I don't have a problem. The problem becomes when there are people who now every doll is haunted and they sell it, especially when there are really haunted objects and they're much more negative in nature, and you're trying to make a buck off of it. So now you're passing that negative intention to somebody else. It's like, come on, man, you know, be smarter than that.
And here's where I guess people don't realize this part of it, because a lot of people that, you know, maybe just watch a lot of the TV shows and are just into the paranormal, they don't understand things about self-manifestation. So they don't realize that if you go on eBay and you buy a haunted doll that says it's haunted and they have this story, and you bring it home and you completely believe that doll is haunted,
then it's
and
on.
you keep talking, right? You keep talking to it, and you keep, saying whatever. Eventually, it might get haunted. You're going to
The
pull
Philip
it in
experiment.
yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
that's
that's hey, odd fellows, and that's awesome. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with objects per se. If that's your hobby and that's what you love doing, power to you. I'm not here to judge people, and you're not selling it, and that's okay. So you don't
right.
fall into that category. We're talking about people who are predators. There are people who are predators that take a quick, they make up a story, and even if it really truly is a demonic object, why would you risk other people's lives? Come on now. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You got to be cautious with what you deal with. Tulpas and egregores, that in itself is a different aspect of the paranormal because now we're dealing with a person's mind, and giving strong enough energy into this tulpa or egregore, we as investigators cannot get rid of that. And same goes really with some of the paranormal stuff. We're willing to help you help yourself, right? And so if you don't want to help yourself, then us going in there might be a quick fix. It might be a band-aid, but ultimately it's about your intention. It's about your faith,
Yeah,
what you believe
you
in,
gotta really
and how you
want
want to
that
resolve
help.
the situation.
They want
Yeah.
that help. Most people are just looking for validation, and that's not what we do.
Yeah.
Now if
Yeah.
we, how many times has somebody reached out to you, and say, okay, tell me what's happening, and you offer them a natural explanation. Well, it could be this, and like Bill said, they go on to the next team, and you never hear from them again. They ghost, no
Yeah.
pun intended, but and it's
And
frustrating. The mind is a very powerful thing, and you can manifest if you want something to be haunted so bad, or you want to get a picture or a video or audio recording so bad, you're going to get one. I mean, some of these clowns on YouTube get more evidence 5 minutes into the abandoned building than I've gotten 40 years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if anybody's offended by what I'm saying, then you're the person I'm talking about.
And odd fellows, you know what? Thank you for that. At least you're taking these items and you're taking them in a safe place away from people, and that is highly commendable. We need
Joe.
more people like that.
Joe, you remember 2 years ago at Phantasm when we had I had the girl I know, Kelly, that came down there with her haunted collection?
Yeah, I remember that.
She called herself the haunted caretaker because all she did was she got these items because she felt what was on them, and she brought them to her house to take care of them.
She was nuts.
She said eventually she wanted to open like a museum that was free to everybody. She didn't do anything. She wouldn't want to charge. She didn't want to do anything. She wasn't trying to sell them. She wasn't trying to say. She had the backgrounds. Her stuff was some of the craziest stuff I've seen. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I got this doll. This thing had like bones of a kid that was murdered inside of it. I mean, there was some crazy stuff in there, but she believed she took care of them. She wasn't there to exploit them and make money off of them and say they're haunted and make up stories. She truly believed every story about them, and she took care of them. That's what she believed. That's why she said she was more of a caretaker than a collector.
Right. So she believed it to be true. Okay.
Right.
But that doesn't make it true.
No, of course.
Because she believed, and look, and I respect her opinion. She's entitled to it, but that doesn't mean it's true. I believe it to be not true. Does that mean it's not true? Well, I guess not. But God, in my opinion, my humble opinion, would not allow a human spirit to inhabit an inanimate object. They could be attached to it. They can manipulate it. They can make a doll move, but it's not going to be within the doll. If you you got a Raggedy Ann doll walking around in your living room, that's not grandma coming for a visit.
Right. And that's the thing. She has the stories behind of what they are. She, as a psychic, she feels what they were and feels something there. Not that it's like possessing it, but it's more that it's attached to it, something attached to it. And, again, she took it as I'm taking care of them. It's a spirit that I'm taking care of, and it doesn't bother her. So she does her thing. But,
bless her.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to add my 2 theological cents in here. Possession is meant for human beings, right? Possession, according to our beliefs and according to many different beliefs that are not just Christian, possession of an alien spirit is for the human spirit, for the human body, right? That's what possession is. Now, you can have a severely nasty negative attachment to an item. And that's what happens a lot too. You have someone that was attached to a doll or something. Maybe they passed suddenly or abruptly, and they're still trying to make sense of what happened. And so the only thing that they have is that object that brings them comfort. So there can be an attachment to it. Just like the word exorcism, the exorcism part is the exorcism word is a broader scope. So when people say, I'm going to exorcise a house, well, exorcism is normally meant on a ritual as a person, but it's used as a broader term for people to get the point. I'm going to exorcise a house because there's something negative here. So
Liberate the house
liberate them.
Yeah.
Yes, animals can be possessed. Animals can be possessed. And unfortunately, it happens, but animals can be possessed.
I have never come across that. I have no proof of that on my side. I don't know. I've had that asked a lot of times to me, and I don't know. I don't know what I believe on that one. Not going against you. I'm just saying I don't know what I believe on
I
that
mean,
one.
and I haven't had that experience either, but I have a lot of clergy that are still within the Vatican, and they've had cases where the animals have gotten possessed.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah. And you know what? And maybe even possessed might not even be the word. I would say influenced. They can be influenced. Let's leave it at the word influenced. Because possession is a bit more extreme. It's more of a human experience as human beings. I'd like to retract that statement and be careful and say that, yes, animals can be influenced. As far as possession, yeah, that's a whole different entity. That's a whole different story.
And it's very rare, too.
Yeah.
Hollywood would have you believe that demonic activity and exorcisms are rampant. It's extremely rare.
Cujo.
Right.
Yeah, Cujo.
That brings up an interesting question, maybe for you, Dr. Ken, is I gotta get used to calling you Dr. Ken.
Just call me Ken. We're friends.
Padre.
We're friends.
So Ken, is a lot of people ask, and I've seen it on some shows where they take animals on investigations. How do, one, you protect the animal, and two, how do you keep it clean, and three, does an animal really aid in investigations?
I've never worked with animals, so I couldn't answer that question. I would say the best thing to do as the guardians and the caretakers of our beloved fur babies is, I guess, I would shower them with our love, our intention. But even if we protect and ground ourselves, it doesn't mean that we're immune to attacks. I saw this one video on TikTok a few years ago. This guy was like, in the name of Jesus, I serve God. Nothing can happen to me. I'm not going to get hurt. He got hurt. He got thrown off the stairs.
Here's what I say about with the animals. Yes, I think most of us do believe that they are sensitive and they can sense things, but they'll also sense a gnat on the ceiling that none of us could see. So it's sometimes just kind of hard to, I've had people say, my cat was just staring at the ceiling for an hour. Yeah, I have a cat too. My cat will stare at the ceiling for an hour, and then you'll look and it'll be like, oh, there's that little tiny bug you can't see. So I believe they are more sensitive, and some people, I have known people that bring their animals to help, and maybe it can work, but you got to understand too, they will pick up anything. They hear way more than we hear. My cat was sleeping on our bed in our little house the other night, and she popped out and was looking around because she heard a bug in the shower. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of the night. It was like, so they have super sensitive hearing and sight and everything, but I'm sure they can help because I believe that they're sensitive, just like a child is,
Well, just like with that, I was refreshing one of my theological courses for my certifications last week, and one of the instructors had mentioned about the love of an animal, right? So animals, they have a different emotional intelligence that humans do, different emotional intelligence. And like with humans, right, we have a spirit and we have a soul. So like spirit is thought to believe the emotional intelligence and that sort of stuff and logic, right? And the soul is thought to be the connection to God and the divine. So what I learned, and I've heard this from a lot of other friends too in the clerical field, that yes, animals have spirits, but they don't have a soul per se. We do. they don't fully understand and have the comprehension of the divine or a connection to God in that sense, where they could pray, worship, or whatever, that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of different theories behind it. So animals, they have spirits, as opposed to like humans, we have spirit and the soul, which one is the emotional intelligence and that sort of stuff, and the soul is the deeper connection to God.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Joe, you look like something's going on down there. What do you guys got going
Well,
on?
I mean, Stephanie and Tom both are telling me there's something behind us. I haven't seen it yet, but we heard it.
I'm sensing it because I've been sensitive my whole life and all that. We're talking about the animals. And the thing is it's good to use animals just like it's good to use equipment when you're sensitive.
Yeah.
When I go into an investigation, the only reason why I use equipment is if I'm feeling something, I want something to maybe verify on top of what I'm feeling. And the same thing with my cat. I could be sitting there and I sense something, and as I turn, my cat's turning at the same time, and that kind of my animals verifying, hey, I felt something. They felt something too. It is a lot of times it is the bugs, but you could tell the difference. Right. If the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, mm-hmm. and then the same thing with my cat, but I know it's not necessarily, that everyday thing. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's more like we get a lot of clients that will say, well, okay, tell us what's going on. And one of the first things they'll always say is, oh, my animals are going crazy. They're staring at the wall. They're staring. And it's like, okay, we take everything in that they tell us, but, there's a lot more we're going to look for before that.
Or a little more interesting is when you get a dog or even a cat, for that matter, that's cowering and won't enter a room or starts growling. That is, they can definitely be, for lack of a better term, an instrument.
Yeah.
But like you said, their senses are very heightened. So always look for a natural explanation first. But their behavior can definitely be an indicator that there's something going on.
You know your animals. You know your animals when they're acting differently. Yeah, they start well, but up here in the Northeast, you go up in the attic and there's mice up there and they fall in between. And your animals know they're in the wall. It's the little noise we can't hear, but they hear it, and they're staring at the wall because they know it's there. They sense it. So.
Like hypersonic thing.
When I lived up in Jersey, and when I first started investigating, oh my God, the amount of times we found raccoons and everything in the walls, in the attic, oh my God. And then, they don't realize that, you have a demon because you have a rotting flesh smell. Yeah, well, the raccoon fell down the wall and died in there, and now he's dead, and it's rotting flesh.
Guys, I had a case. It just come to mind. I had a case some years ago where these people had these inexplicable noises in their attic, and they didn't want to go up there. It was one of those pull down ladders,
Yeah.
Ones that break when I stand on them. But they finally, what had happened was it was a huge bee's nest, and the way they found out it was eventually. There was a stain on the ceiling. Yeah. The bees eventually ate through the drywall on the ceiling. They started getting in the house. And then when they called the exterminator, the nest was huge. So that was the noise. I mean, you got one bee, you're not going to hear it, but you got thousands of them. And, so that was a natural explanation, but they were so scared. Right. And I said, well, how many of these TV shows do you watch? Oh, we watch them all. I'm like, well, no, it's psychosomatic. It's in your head.
Yeah.
Right.
But maybe it's a good thing you didn't go up there because they're going to stung or something. But
you know how many calls I've gotten, and you're talking to the person, and you're like, okay, well, when you heard this noise, what were you doing? Well, we had just been watching TV. What were you watching? Oh, 14 hours of Ghost Adventures. Well, there you go. Now it's in your head. But no. But the amount of that's a perfect example of natural causes. People don't realize that things like just a bee. Who would think of that? If they don't know,
it doesn't happen very often, but I saw pictures. The nest was huge. I think they got a lot of honey out of it, though. That's good. I think there was honey.
I'm kind of curious. Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say that kind of works both ways too. We're always looking for the natural, but at the same time, sometimes I know investigators that get so focused on the natural that they forget the supernatural. So it's got to be a delicate balance. Because yes, we're focusing on the natural, but you've got to have that discernment, like Tom said, to also discern whether there's something supernatural, whether you're being moved or not. And
Right,
some people,
if you know what you're doing, you can quickly discern between those.
exactly.
Right, but the people that aren't, they take the nuclear option and they go from 0 to 60 and they skip the natural and they go right to the supernatural, because up here they want it to be something. They want it so badly that they'll turn something like that into, okay, the bees are possessed now.
Well, you gotta look at things like a lot of people, even online, and some of them think they're good at this and all that, and they jump on the bandwagon. People talk about orbs, and it's just dust, and it's all this other stuff and all that. I want you to think about it, to not say it isn't. All right. What you got to look at is, if a spirit's trying to reach out to you, and it knows if it creates dust and it's going to make you react, that might be a way it's reaching out. That's the discernment. You have to figure. You can't say something isn't a way for them to reach out. You have to take it into consideration, write it down, and see if it repeats again. And somebody might be trying to get your attention, or it actually is dust. So,
right. Now, that's a good point. I have never used that point. I've never used that point. I'm one that speaks out a lot about orbs. I've never used that point. But it's different, because you're saying that the spirit could have put the dust up there to alert you. But what I do is, when I'm talking about it, I said, because orbs are real, but they're very rare, and they're not the things that people are seeing on these cameras. You know, they're not transparent, they're not translucent, they're solid 3D balls of energy. But see, though, that's a good point, though. I've never thought of something like that. Not that it's an actual spirit, but it's the spirit stirring up the dust. That's
it is, because it's trying to reach out. It's like, how am I going to get this guy's attention?
Right.
You know, should I throw a rock at him? I've had stones thrown at me from out of nowhere. It's trying to get my attention. It's like when we're younger, we're trying to get our girlfriend to come to the window so she'll come out and talk to me at night. And you're throwing rocks up at the window. We're all human.
Right.
You know, when we die, our shell goes away. We still there's still the theory that we still have some kind of consciousness or energy. Who's to say we still can't form some energy to be able to do that? That's how we try to get attention in life. Why aren't we going to still do it? You know?
Well,
I was
gonna say, we got to teach those spirits. Be like, listen, we're going. Get the dust out of here. Stop it. We don't know what you.
Who's to say that it isn't the ghost of Earl Weaver kicking dirt on an umpire? You know?
Right. It's like, if you're gonna throw around dirt, you better at least clean my house. But another thing that a few years ago is that, you know, science has proved the existence of orbs as the ions in the atmosphere, some sort of interaction with the environment. And so I've also told people, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about orbs. Science has proven that there is energy in the environment, and it's like the covalent bonds and the ionic changes in the atmosphere that can cause these things to happen. That's just one explanation that people has.
35 years, I've seen 3. 2 of them on demonic cases. Actual demonic cases. So to me, they're as rare as demonic cases, but and one outside. That's it. You know, that I would say are real, because I watched them form. I watched them move intelligently around, and they produced their own light and everything. So it's very, very different than the stuff. Again, on the 33 years in technology, I know in my office we have 98 security cameras. So I work with these cameras. I run them. I know how they work. I can see this stuff all day long. So that's why I try to talk a little bit about how that is, you know. But I tell people, too, when you see a real one, you'll totally understand what we're saying.
Well, another thing about demonic cases, you're going to see much more prominent vexations. You're not going to just see dust flying around.
Right.
Or you're going to have much more violent activity. And
it is. A lot of times with demonic cases like that, they already know our game plan. They already know what we're thinking.
They know everything.
They know everything. They know what scares you. So they know, hey, if I throw this across the room, or I pick up this refrigerator and levitate it, it's going to scare the you-know-what out of you. They're trying to get that fear going. They want to latch onto that fear. So whatever you're thinking, you're going to manifest it to that supposed demon or whatever it is. So.
The first one I saw went from about the size of a golf ball and grew to about a softball. And it was frightening. You know, I was still newer to this, and it was and that's why I say it's a totally different experience than I have, you know, dust flying around my room or something that looks like a bug, or, you know, now the bugs are all fairies because it captures the wings, or, you know, and, you know,
Dragonfly going, yeah.
yeah,
Or they're elementals, or they're
Yeah.
elementals, or it's like,
But
okay.
people need to have an open mind to
Yeah.
accept those explanations.
Yeah.
The people that are so closed-minded say, no, it's this. I'm like,
Wait.
well, then I can't help you. I'm not going to sit here and try to change your mind.
Yeah.
right. They tell me, well, if you don't believe anything, why are you in here? What are you talking about? I don't believe anything. I could tell you stories that you wouldn't sleep from. You know, believe me, I believe. But you know, again, there's, you know, you have to understand a little bit of what's real and what's not. But
I told Joe, I have to discern what I talk about when I give a lecture.
Hmm.
Because there's been cases I've had where I will not give power again to what we ridded that family of. Because if I talk of it again,
You give them recognition.
who's to say I'm going to give it, like recognition, and I'm going to reactivate it or whatever.
right.
Because you get rid of it, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there.
Yep.
You can reactivate it. It's the same thing as an alcoholic. All right.
Right.
They could quit the alcohol, but that urge is still there. They're learning how to keep it at bay. You got to teach people how to keep things at bay. Their traumas bring these things in. You got to take care of your traumas. That's why alcoholics say, I'm an alcoholic. They put a name to it, and then they have power over it as long as they have it, and they go through those steps, and they go through that healing process. If they don't do that, it's going to come back.
So, Padre, that's why one of the first questions we ask is, tell me your name, because then you have power and authority over them, because and they have to give up that name. And it's not I, Joe Franke, command you. It is, you know, Jesus Christ commands you.
Well, that's the thing. Conduit.
Yeah.
We're a conduit. We let spirit work through us and all that. It's not us. Yeah. We're just a conduit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
That's where the ego goes away. You can't have ego when you're fighting against something evil like that. You have to know
something that's older,
higher power that's
smarter
working
than you.
Yeah.
Smarter than you, much intelligent, older than you are. It kills me when a lot of people are like, well, I drove this demon out. No, you didn't. You didn't do that. It was the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, Christ.
Like a lot of people in the industry say, well, I crossed this person over. No, you didn't. You didn't cross them over. You gave them the words. They made the decision. It's the same thing. If you were a smoker and I told you over and over again, quit smoking, till you make that decision to quit smoking, I didn't do it. I'm just counseling you to say, hey, if you do this and you have free will, you might be able to go to the other side and see your family. They need to go bang and do it.
Right.
Like all these guys, these people out there, and you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention names, but these people that say, you know, they're exorcists. And I'm like, wait a minute. We as lay people can pray prayers of deliverance, which are very powerful prayers, but it's like a layman's form of exorcism, but we're actually praying for the individual. We're not directly speaking to the demon. Only people like Ken, who's an exorcist, can do that. If we as lay people start directing our attention to the demon, now we're establishing a relationship, and it could come after us because we're opening that door.
You're inviting it in.
We're opening that door.
Exactly.
People don't understand. People think it'd be cool. Oh, I think it'd be cool if I had a demon. Really?
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't wish that I broke the dog.
I always laugh because I had one guy in a group with that. He posted a picture, you know, and of course it was nothing. It was dust, and of course right away you get the other people that come in and go, "Get out of the house! It's a demon," you know. And the actual poster responded and goes, "Yeah, that would be cool." No, it wouldn't. No, it actually would not. You know,
I think Hollywood has totally desensitized people to what's going on.
And that's what
we not only do we help people, we educate. We try to help educate. And then look, I tell my audiences, look, if you're not buying what I'm selling, that's fine. We can still be friends. I said, but all I'm asking you since you're here tonight is have an open mind. I say, I'm like Fox News. I report, you decide.
Yeah.
Okay. If you leave here tonight saying, geez, he had a point there, and maybe change your mind, great. But I'm not trying to force you to change your mind, say you're wrong.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that. And
Yeah,
people will respect you more for that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
and I know Joe will
it's
know this because he's had this happen to him too, like I did. Get knocked almost clear across the room by nothing, and believe me, you're not going to be excited to see a demon.
No.
Well, because if you do get a demonic attachment, and God forbid possession, now you can't just get rid of it. You can't just shake it off. I've had people say, Joe, I need you to come over here and get rid of this. I said, no. That's not the way it works. Yeah. I'll come over, back you up, and you will get rid of it. Yeah, it's your job. It's your family. It's your life. It's your home. You need to take it back. You need to dig your heels in. I got your 6. I will guide you. I will educate you, but I'll help you. But you're the one ultimately. That's when you get the people like, I can't do it. It won't let me do this. It won't let me do that. I said, no.
Because you don't want it to.
You're giving that the control over.
Yeah.
You got to want to help yourself first.
That's why we teach our clients how to cleanse their house and how to take care of it themselves. Because if we just cleanse the house and we leave, what's going to happen? It's going to come right back because they're going to continue doing what they're doing and they're not going to know how to take care of it. And you know what I mean? I'm not talking about a demon. I'm talking about just in general ghosts, and you have to teach them to do it themselves a little bit and learn, but it's, people will be.
Yeah. I got a question for the 4 of you, and it's something I get asked a lot on interviews, and it's gets a little controversial depending on your view of, like we were mentioning, ghost adventures. And that is the question of antagonizing and instigating. Does it really work to help spirit?
Yes, we call it religious provocation, and Ed taught me how to do that. And that's something that Tom and I talked about. And I said, I don't want to do that here in this house because we get to go home. Yeah. All right. And then the family has to deal with the aftermath if we antagonize something. Yeah. All right. But Padre will tell you, in cases where you need to draw something out to identify itself and say, tell me your name, how did you get in, and give me the date and time of your departure. Those are the only 3 questions. You don't sit there and have a conversation with this thing. But you got to be very careful. You need to understand what you're dealing with, because if not, you come and stir up a hornet's nest and you leave, and you're lucky if nothing follows you home. But you leave in the family, you make a situation worse than how you found it if you don't know what you're doing. That's where the education comes in.
Yeah,
that's where
also
you walk into a bar.
That being said as well. Yeah.
You walk into a bar and you say, who wants to fight? What do you think's going to happen? You walk into the bar and you say, hey, can I buy you a drink and have a conversation? It's life. The spirit world, there's a lot of times it's just their shell's gone. Spirit's still there, but there's different spirits we're dealing with, just like there's different people we have to deal with in life. There's some people out there.
There's another point I'd like to make about that.
Yeah.
And it's important to understand, that you don't have to believe in demons or whatever, but by nature, they are hierarchical, right? So you also need to have spiritual authority. And these things know whether or not you have authority. We look in the Bible, we look in the Old Testament, when the Pharisees or the old rabbis went to go exorcise that gentleman that was possessed, right? He goes, Jesus, I know of. I know the prophet, but I know nothing of you, right? Because they wore the garments, because they did their rituals and they did all that stuff, didn't mean that they have the spiritual authority. And so they were ravished to the point where they almost died. So if you're going to be doing these things as well, you need to make sure you have some sort of spiritual authority behind you. You don't have to be Christian per se. You have to stand firm in what your beliefs are, right? And you have to understand what your limits are. And you also need to know whether or not, hey, what is something I need to be venturing in? Am I ready for this? Do I feel like I have the necessary training and authority?
You need to be in a state of grace too.
Yeah.
You cannot,
because they know. I've been in situations where I've gone in and plain clothes, and I've gone to 2 different botanicas. Botanica on the West Coast and the East Coast are like the spiritual stores, right? But I live in California, and so a lot of these botanicas are catered to a certain deity. And so I walk into 2 different botanicas on different parts of the town, and I've gotten kicked out. They have told me, this entity does not want you here, priest, leave. In plain clothes, and I've left. So, you know what?
But you want the entity there, though. Jesus, H.
Yeah. So, so I just wanted to go in. I was like, hey, I just wanted tamales from you, because they sold tamales there. And the lady was like, this entity, I'm not going to
demonic tamale
power. Yeah, well, the problem is I'm not going to name it because there are people that practice this certain belief. There's a certain cardinal mindset that follows this deity that's an abomination to the Blessed Mother. And so they straight up told me, this deity does not want you here. Now, we do not want you here. And that's happened to me twice in plain clothes. That's spiritual authority. And it's not me. It's the act of being in a state of grace and humbly and willfully serving, God, right? And it's fasting and prayer
you are
and
God's
meditation.
Like Tom said, it's not us.
And that's important.
God working.
It's not me. It's not exactly. It's not me. And if at any ever point in time I'm like, that's where I fall from grace. So we have to be mindful of that. Spiritual authority is highly important. If you have none, then you will not be successful in combating these things.
And that's why we tell people. That's why we tell people, if you're doing this and you encounter something that maybe you're not sure what it is, ask for help. It's not a contest between everybody. Ask for help because, like you said, if they go in there, there's a lot of people that go in and think that they can just throw holy water around and that's going to protect them. And they don't realize that's the religious provocation. You're provoking them. You should never do that unless you know what you're doing.
And it won't work unless you have the faith in what that holy water signifies.
If you don't have the intention,
if it does, and you don't know what to do next, you're in a lot of trouble.
Plus, the thing is, people just throw holy water because it says it's holy water.
Right.
The thing is, like you're saying, you have to believe in that. That's your faith. That's your, there's so much that goes into it. I could have faith in a pencil, right? I could use that pencil to protect me because I have faith that pencil, through that pencil, I'm using a higher power.
Right.
Yeah.
If I have that intention and all that, it is. So, people got to understand that it's your intention. It's your
like
belief
sage
system.
It's like sage. You can burn sage all over the place, just wave it around. It's not going to do anything. It's your intent. Same thing. There's a lot of things. Everything's intent.
Another thing, everybody burns sage, but you want to know something? You want to know what makes it more powerful? When you grow it yourself, when you put the love into it and the intention into it, you grow it yourself, you make it yourself. It's more for you and you have that faith in it and you use through it. I know people different backgrounds and different esoteric backgrounds use it, but again, it is. You have that higher power belief in it, and that's what's going to work through you through that instrument to create what you want to do.
That's right. I'll give you an example in this case here, the home where we are. 16 years ago, we had a member of our team go through the house with sage. This was, I think, a Friday night. Saturday, the family got up, went out to breakfast, came home. Now the mother had made her bed. She makes her bed every morning before they leave. In the middle of the bed, in a perfect teepee, were a bundle of sage ash, almost as if to say, "F you, I'm not going anywhere. This isn't going to work." Right. Right in the middle of the bed, just this pile like teepee of ash from the sage, just as a symbol to us saying, "And that ain't going to work." So we had to shift gears and get Bishop up.
Well, I tell people all the time. I have a lot of people from the faith that private message me. They go, "Hey, Padre, I've got these jewels, I've got these rocks, I've got this little thing. Is it bad?" I go, "Do you have faith in God? Do you believe in God?" "Yeah." "Well, didn't God create those stones? Didn't He create those flowers? Right? Yeah. So it's not the flower itself. You can have these rocks or these stones or these gems or these crystals as a reminder of God's beautiful creation. These are all part of God's creation. And so, although I would say, use a rosary or crucifix, but if you understand that this is from God's creation, like these rocks and these crystals, and your faith is ultimately in God, then if you believe in some sort of way that it's going to protect you, I'm not here to judge you. And if that's what you want to believe, I will accept that, as long as you understand that it's coming from God's divine power. Not that the rock itself has a special power, although it might have some scientific properties. That's a whole different thing. They may have different elements. That's a whole different thing. But when it comes to like the faith side, okay, well, if you think that this crystal is beautiful and this is a wonderful reminder of God's beauty and creation, and it brings you joy, yeah, that's fine. You can have it. I don't see a problem with it.
I had a case where, we asked them a lot of questions, obviously, beforehand and everything. And I know that this family told me that they did not practice any religion. They didn't follow any religion. I believe originally they were raised Jewish, but they didn't follow anything. They weren't practicing anything. When I get to the house, I'm looking around. I'm like, there's crosses like all over the place, So I said to them, I said, I thought you didn't practice anything. They said, well, we had a team come in here and they told us this is what we had to do. And I said, what is that going to do unless you believe in it? And it's the same exact thing. What is that cross on the wall going to do?
Absolutely nothing. It's just a piece of wood or a piece of metal.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, I know if I go into a house and it's a Jewish family, I have to approach it because that's the energy and their faith, what they're putting in there and what it might have created. Right. If somebody's a Buddhist or something, I have to know all this different stuff, having the shamanistic background and stuff like that and the esoteric diversity. But, I was raised, Catholic. So, and it's just a lot of the combinations, but you really look at it, the higher power, God, or anything like that, people just call God some different name, but it's still a higher power and it's having faith.
Only one God.
Right. Yeah. There's only one. Some different religions just call it something different. It's still the one God.
Right.
Yeah. I have a quick story, if you don't mind. I have a friend, a really good friend of mine, but she's a Wiccan. Mm-hmm. She's like, well, Joe, you got to understand, we worship nature, sun, earth, moon, water, fire. I said, yeah, who made all that? And I pointed up. Who made all that? But I said, also, when you have these covens, they also worship the great horned god and goddess. That's against the first commandment. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt not have false gods before me. So, I guess different covens may worship different things. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that much about it, only what I've researched. Yeah. But it's like, well, yeah, I understand you worship nature, but everything was created by one God. What, like Tom said, whatever you call it.
It's a higher power. It's one higher power, whatever you want to call it. Again, we have to be open to that. People believe different things, but when I'm dealing with something paranormal and that's their belief, I have to work with that.
And we have to respect that, which we do. But all the fighting you about in the YouTube and the internet is if someone doesn't agree with someone else, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a jerk, you're this or that. I'm blocking you, I'm unfriending you. I'm like, oh my God, stop the madness, people.
Yeah.
Right. We're rolling this together.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hate to do this.
We put your audience to sleep, Mike.
Yeah. Coming to the hour and a half mark, and so I think it's a good time to wrap it up. I know, Joe, you and Tom got an investigation / work to do.
Eat hamburgers.
I'm sure everyone's got places to be. So what I'd like to do is to take this opportunity and allow you guys to, as approachable as we are, and, friends, hopefully out of this, share how people can get a hold of you if they have questions or concerns about something. How can they reach out to you?
Well, you can get hold of me through the Warren Legacy Foundation. My email is jfranke@warrenlegacy.com, or you can go right to the Warren Legacy Foundation Facebook page or the website, warrenlegacy.com. Be able to get that right?
Yeah.
warrenlegacy.com. Okay. Yeah. You can reach any of us through there. But that's probably the easiest and best way to get a hold of me.
I don't know. I don't want to be found. Don't find me.
Well, I know how to get a hold of Tom.
He's got my phone number. I can't hide from him.
You can get me through the Warren Legacy or through my website, which is my name, billslevin.com. On there is everything about me, my team, the Warren Legacy. Everything's on there. My schedule of where I'm having shows or anything like that. So either of those places are good.
Is my picture on your website? I'm a team member.
No, I put that on the back with the demons.
With the platinum shirt.
Superimpose a shirt on me. I'm sorry. I love you.
Well, if you want to get a hold of me, my website's under my name. It's fatherkendoctor.com. That'll lead you to my website, my order, and the Warren Legacy Foundation. You can also find me on Facebook, social media. So I'm pretty busy sometimes with pastoral counseling, chaplaincy. Right now, I'm in Virginia. I'm going to be giving a lecture tomorrow on demonic possession and mental health. And then I fly back to San Francisco Sunday evening after I get off this case. Well, not case, but event Sunday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
I'd like to take a moment and say, Ken, in transparency, we brought this up before we started the chit chat. You actually had a major accomplishment in the news.
Yeah.
And I'd like to give you a moment to share what that was like for you.
So I wouldn't really consider it a major accomplishment, but there's always the issue with people saying you're not valid or you're not licit, whatever, you're not a real priest, which I am. I have real valid holy orders. I've been verified by the Archdiocese of Sacramento, which is why I was chosen and selected to guard the relic of St. Jude from the Vatican. And so I am a Knights of Columbus member. I am the chaplain. And so I came out on the Spanish news talking about our faith and what that relic of St. Jude meant. And so it was a cool little moment. I don't know that it's an accomplishment, but it just felt really good to
it is.
be able to protect.
Don't be humble about that.
Like that.
How many people can say they get that honor?
No,
really.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're chosen by the Vatican to guard this relic. After an extensive investigation process. I mean, I was cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Own that, Ken. That is.
They wouldn't take Joe.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't pick me.
no.
No, Joe would stick it in his pocket.
I'm honored that Ken gave me an amazing recommendation letter of for what I do and everything, and I'm honored to have that. What you did, what you had with going taking care of the relic, that's big. That is big. Don't knock it down. That's big.
I am the only non-Roman Catholic priest except recognized by the Archdiocese of Sacramento as an old Catholic priest with wholly invalid orders. So that's to all my haters who say you're a fraud. I don't care. No.
Nobody here is saying
all glory is for God, man.
Nobody that matters is saying that, so don't worry about it.
Well, not only that, though, but it took a long time. I am a veteran. I got injured. I have a traumatic brain injury. I've been through a lot, right? It took me damn near 12 years to finish seminary, get my master's degree and my doctorate in theology and religion. And so I'm proud of those accomplishments. And even with a traumatic brain injury and even stuttering and even doubting myself, all glory is to God. I'm here to serve people and help people. And if you like it, cool. And if you don't like it, hey, you know what? It's fine. You're missing out on a good person.
Right.
Well, the men of faith are always attacked, so it's just part of what comes.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah.
But just so you guys know, I know Joe and I are sitting here in the basement of the Enfield Demon House and all that. Well, the 1771 house, we're trying to refocus this area, but we're having an event tomorrow night. If you want to come and investigate with us and be part of this docu-series that we're filming, you could go on our friend Scott Allen's medium Scott Allen, ALLAN.com, and still buy tickets. You could come down to this basement with us if you want, and see all the things that we had something crawling on the wall while we're on air behind us. I know some people have noticed, but
very active home.
It is. So we're so used to it now. It's just like, it's over there, and we're focused on helping this family this weekend and all that, and helping, heal the land, heal the house, heal the people in the house. That's our main focus. It's not
try
about
to
capturing stuff.
Silence the haters out there that said this house is fraudulent.
Yeah.
I'm putting my reputation of 40 years doing this work
We both
on
are.
this house.
Yep,
Thank
we
you,
both
Tom.
are.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, take that.
Yep.
And with that being said, I have to admit, I am appreciative and humble that you all, as the Warren Legacy Foundation, are allowing me as a podcast host to host your teams, your members, and help shed light on what you guys are doing. And I know I'm one of maybe many or a few, I don't know, doesn't matter to me. I just am humble and appreciative that you give me this opportunity and trust me with your foundation members to say, here's a show you can go on, have a great time. And I love how you guys come in and support each other. When a team member is on the show, you guys show up in the chat rooms and support each other, and I love that.
Families do.
Yep.
We're a family, all of us.
The strength of the foundation
but
is our members. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
you
the
guys
strength
are
of the foundation is our
dysfunction,
members.
Bill.
Yeah. The strength of the foundation is our members. Yeah, and there are other people that are not part of the foundation that are great investigators too. So,
absolutely.
The strength of the foundation is our members, but we also recognize and realize it's like Thomas Gorley, a lot of other wonderful people out there who are not the foundation, who are wonderful and reputable investigators who are out there putting their life on the line, because really that's what we do. You're essentially putting your life on the line for strangers that you don't know, and you're helping them. You're taking time out of your day, out of your month to help them, all for free.
I work with a lot of
this
great
is a
people.
calling. This is a calling. This is a calling.
Right.
This is not just I'm doing it for fun on the weekends.
It's a vocation.
It's
It's not an occupation.
Yeah.
And it's not a competition. I work with a lot of teams. We collaborate on things. We do. It's not about who did what. It's not about that.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Bill.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
you.
And I agree with you, Bill. I used to be on teams, and I would find all the investigations would use the same techniques, the same everything. And when you start collaborating with others, it's like, wait a minute, there's this technique? Why aren't we using that? And so I left the teams to be on my own to collaborate with others, because I was getting more out of investigating with others, learning more.
Yeah.
Never
You can learn
stop.
from everybody in this field.
Never stop learning.
You know?
Yeah.
Except Joe.
Like me, I'm not so much a technology guy. I have some equipment. I know how to use it. But my focus is for mental health and the spiritual aspect, pastoral counseling and chaplaincy. And then, once I deal with that natural factor first, and then that experience with the equipment and all that other stuff, and say, hey, you know what? I've done my part of the task. Now I need your guys' help to help me with the rest. If there's something here, we'll do our very best. And I tell people, we don't promise you a rose garden. I can't promise you that we're going to get rid of something, because nothing might be there. But at the same time, we also have to be careful. And this is one last tidbit of advice. Don't promise your clients anything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't promise them, we're going to help you get rid of it tonight. Don't ever do that. At its best, this is considered a pseudoscience. Come on.
Yeah.
I only promise I'll bring them some coffee on the way.
Yeah, food,
There I
pizza,
bring
that's
donuts
fine.
too.
Yeah,
I just promised them I'm going to introduce them to Joe.
As long as I can be wearing my shirt when you do.
Yep.
I'm
definitely going to make
excited
platinum shirts that say Joe Franke.
Michael, listen, thank
Warren
you so
Legacy
much. The
Foundation.
pleasure's all on this side.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
We're honored.
I'm
to
just
have
excited
you.
to be invited, Michael. I never get invited to
let me
these
bring
things.
my
I never
good
get
friend
invited to the crowd.
Well, and one other thing I want to mention before I throw us into the outro is I have talked with a few of you offline in Messenger, like almost daily since being on the shows. And to me, that's like really is cool for me, because I'm like, most times people are like, okay, the show's over. We did our thing. Now we get busy with life and everything. But you guys have a larger habit of checking in and saying, hey, I'm over here. Look at what's going on here. And it's like, I kind of feel like I'm being brought into the family somewhat.
You are.
Yep.
You are.
Well, you are.
I'm the chairman of the
You are
board, and
family.
you are. I'm pulling rank.
Yeah. That's right.
Well,
That's
thank
right.
you.
You are, Michael,
Yeah.
really. So thank you.
And that means a lot to me. And so thank you guys. And I look forward to keeping in touch with all of you. And I have to say to Ken, I have a lot of people who watched you on my show, Paranormal Versus. And every time I mention your name and say, oh, Ken's going to be on, they're like, ooh, you got to tell me when. I got to see that. They really love when you're on. And so don't ever discount.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Don't discount yourself, because you are more loved, I think, than you realize.
My wife tells me the same thing.
And congratulations on that too.
Thank you. Yeah, Priscilla's my rock. We've been together for 10 years, and we made it official last year. She has been supportive. She has been with me in my good times and my bad times out of the military. She supported me through seminary school. And so without my wife, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I can. And I have a loving family, a good support system, and more importantly, the foundation members. They're my family.
Right. And none of us would be here
Yeah.
without our significant others. My
Yeah.
wife and I have been together 38 years, and she started this journey with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes she doesn't like that I'm gone for days at a time, and I'm sure you guys can hear her. But you know what?
Yeah.
She knows that I'm doing this to help others, and she at least understands it.
My
Same
wife is
thing
now
about
on,
my wife.
I was going to say, my wife is now on my team. She doesn't investigate. She doesn't like to investigate, but she's an energy healer and a Reiki master, and she helps us with the clients. And I've learned a lot about energy from her. She works with energy. It's, a lot of stuff I didn't know I learned from her. So yeah, we all have that.
My wife is my advisor.
There, will you?
Yeah.
What?
My wife is my advisor.
You too.
She's also the church secretary, and Joe is also a layman for the Solomonic Order of St. Michael. And it's just a wonderful thing to have a support system. And she's like, obviously, she misses me. I'm doing it down on the East Coast, all the way from the West Coast, and I miss her. And so, yeah, it's just a wonderful blessing to be here to try to share experiences and knowledge with other people. And I'm grateful for it.
Well,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm single. I've never been married. Hopefully someday I will. Not putting that as an ad for everyone to start looking me up on Facebook.
It's a whole other show.
But
a whole new list of friends.
Yeah.
Paranormal Bachelor.
There you go.
A good show.
But I think a way I'd like to end this is, because a lot of you, talking about your significant others is, and I know some of you are away from them. Bill, I'm not sure if you how far away you are, but
other room.
I would like to give you guys the space before I go into the outro to say something to your significant other.
Well,
I'll say it real quick. I'll say it real quick because I'm going to be away from my wife till Monday, and we're here. We're digging in, and we're trying to once and for all, hopefully equal this house out, and having Joe here, who's worked this case for over 16 years, just the group that's come in, and again, your ability to come and see us, tomorrow. But the thing is it's important. It's important that we help people to know that there's people that still care, even in this information highway thing that we've drawn into, and the I don't like this person, I don't like that person. We have to go back to the point where we help people and we're there, we understand, and it's not for ego. It's it's for love, love of your fellow human.
I tell you, and I echo that sentiment, but all kidding aside, my wife is my rock, and I wouldn't be the man I am today without her. I wouldn't have succeeded. She was with me by my side with Ed and Lorraine Warren also. We were dating when we met them, and here we are 38 years later, and I love her to death, and God bless her.
My wife and his wife worked together they were working together when they first met. So, but,
Right.
And Joe and I met Ed and Lorraine around the same time that,
Mid-80s,
years ago.
yeah?
So you're dating us again.
Yeah. I'm old.
85, 86, so.
Yeah. I don't know if I
chocolate.
would, I'm lucky to have somebody that supports me in everything I do and puts up with me. We all do a lot that we need to, not easy to put up with all of us. So I think she's a great influence in everything.
She is, because I know her. Give her a hug for me.
Yes. You
I'll
too.
take one of those. Chocolate? Oreo? Yeah. Sorry, I'm at my sister's house and I was craving chocolate. So,
Hey, here.
but overall, just before we close the show, I just wanted, like I said, I love my wife. Thank you for this opportunity, babe, for, allowing me to be out there and depart my knowledge. And I get to spend time with my sister, my nieces, and my nephew, play baseball with them for a few days. And so I'm just excited. I'm going to be at the old abandoned Central High School tomorrow in Goochland, Virginia. So if you're in the area in Virginia, just here in Newland, come down and check out this event. Going to be some wonderful lectures, and I'll be selling my books too. So you get some information on how my brain works.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. And thank you all in the chat room. And thank you all that are watching. We couldn't do what we're doing without you guys. And I'm referring to the podcasting side of what we do. And also the investigations, because, we kind of need someone sometimes to start it. So we appreciate you all and have a wonderful day, night, morning. If you're asleep, sweet dreams to you.
Nice.
And make it a lovely day.
Take care and God bless you all.
Exactly.
God bless. Be blessed, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.